minutes.
I thank the chairman. I thank Mr. Poliquin for his work. I thank Chairman Fitzpatrick for his work on the Terrorism Finance Task Force, of which I'm proud to be a participant and a member, and for Mr. Lynch's work there as ranking member on the task force, and for Mr. Sherman's comments of a few minutes ago. You know, this to me is such a common sense thing to do when you consider that this administration just 6 years ago this month turned its back on the people of Iran when they were trying to protest their notorious regime and took to the streets, but then turned right around to negotiate with the Ayatollahs on a failed, ill-conceived, misdirected, poorly designed disaster of an Iranian transaction, fueling Iran as the world's largest supporter of terrorism. Unbelievable. So Mr. Poliquin's effort is straightforward and helpful, and directly helpful to the mission of the Treasury's Office of Terrorism and Financial Intelligence, where they have some $117 million budget. And I don't believe Mr. Poliquin's direction through this legislation to that office or FinCEN is overbearing in any ways whatsoever. It echoes their mission. To ask them to complete a report 270 days from enactment of legislation and then update it annually is certainly no burden to our U.S. Treasury. As Representative Poliquin says, it only covers 80 individuals that this nation wants to know what's going on with, because they're back in the system, as noted earlier by Mr. Fitzpatrick. The Revolutionary Guard and the Quds Force are two of the most dangerous entities known in the world today. And we want to make sure that what's happening there is known not only to the world, but to the Iranian people. And therefore, I think it's particularly splendid that this will be translated in local languages and posted for all to see in Iran so that they can see what we see, which is that it is the most corrupt terror regime in the world. And that the sanctions relief benefited not the people of Iran, but directly this big 80 on Mr. Poliquin's bill. So, Mr. Chairman, I yield back my time, but I want to thank Mr. Poliquin for his efforts on behalf of not only sunshine on terrorism and terror finance, but sunshine for the Iranian people, and that they are educated and see what in fact goes on behind the closed doors of their regime. I yield back.